Honourable Member Shrimati Supriya Sule.
Thank you so much. I stand here in support of the bill that we are discussing today. I would definitely like to quote what the India stand at the UN is. It says that they're deeply concerned over proliferation of weapons of mass destruction and their delivery system. The earlier Professor Saugata Babu already has spoken about it at length, but in a synopsis I would like to say that India supports the full and effective implementation of Chemical Weapon Convention and emphasizes the strengthening of the OPCW to fulfill its important mandate. Sir, it's very good that we have brought in this bill, and it clearly, India has always had a very good and a positive image of a peace-loving, peace-making country. So I congratulate the Honourable Minister for bringing in this bill. But I would like to bring to the notice of this House of what he said, that we have come to the new world order, which it is true that the world has changed. And there's a book by Mr. W. Seth Karras. It's called Defining Weapons of Mass Destruction. And it's one of the papers where he has said that the Center of Study of Weapons of Mass Destruction, which is a National Defense University, where they have recommended that why don't we expand the scope, given how the world is, even the war today globally is a hybrid war now, as we call it. So they have recommended that the India's definition is for nuclear, biological and chemical weapons. So can we expand it? May not be literally in this bill, but maybe in the next few months to come, if you could consider this, is my request to you, is the new challenges because of this new world order is get radiology involved in it, talk about high explosives, talk about weapons of mass destruction or effect, potentially include CBRE weapons, other means of causing massive disruption such as cyber attacks, electro-magnetic attack, munitions. So I think if we could make it, I think we'll really set a very good order and a new precedent in the world that India is very serious and committed. I think that's the only suggestion that I would really like to make. Besides this, in the larger scheme of things, it's a very small example, but I would like to put it on the table, that in Maharashtra recently, there was a small power crisis in Mumbai city for over 3 hours. And people say it was hacking, it was electromagnetic system which collapsed. This could be a very small trial, we don't know. But for a city like Mumbai to have no electricity, we don't know how it stopped, how it collapsed, nothing wrong with the grid. Could have it been an attack? I have no evidence to prove it, but this is how the story begins. So could we consider broadening the definition is the only point I'm trying to make here. Besides this, I would like to talk about, since nobody else has mentioned it, about the zoonotical diseases. It's like the pandemic. There is a story that COVID-19 was an attack which was probably on the globe. So could we have a broader discussion on this is a suggestion I would like to make to the Honourable Minister. What is interesting in this entire debate is I'm so glad that when we got the nuclear agreement, at that time we were sitting on that side, you were in a different role. And there were a lot of objections. I don't want to get into the tutu meme of this because it's a very serious bill, but I'm so glad that the agreement that the Honourable Manmohan Singh ji led at that time to put really India on the global map today is become a reality, and in the nuclear supply group, we are a very important group. I really want to know from the Honourable Minister that with all this, that is, we are using all the new friendships that you have made in the last few years, I would like to ask the Honourable Minister that why haven't we joined the group as yet, and what are we doing to excel our position? America was very positive about it. There were a lot of nations who have supported India, but there are nations who have objected, like New Zealand, Ireland, Australia, China. They have objected to us. Now, what is our position with such wonderful relations? Because China, I still remember this article and I was too tempted. I hope you indulge me with this and take it on a lighter note of little banter in Parliament sometimes. Because there was a story which I was too tempted to talk about today. It says they talked, they posed and they left. This is the Indian Prime Minister and the Chinese President met 18 times. I stand corrected, could be more, could be more maybe, since 2014. And there were many, many meetings that they have had, which I'm sure, I think I'm a big one for dialogue. I am completely against any war. But what has happened to our position, and by having so many meetings, like they talked, they posed and they left. So what really happened between these three activities when they talked, they posed and left? There must something more substantial should come out of it. So I would like to ask the Honourable Minister where this is. Now, like my colleague Ritesh Pandey talked extensively about the financing of it, I would like to ask the Honourable Minister, it's a very good bill. I think any such thing must be stopped. I think the entire House in one voice supports your bill. My only clarification I would like to ask is that there's a note that freeze, seize and attach that's in the statement of objects and reasons. It's the point number 5, B point number 1. I appreciate this is a wonderful thing we must, but what concerns me, and more so because it's something very new, I'm not a financial expert, but I hear so much about the dark net and the crypto. Now, if all this funding is done through this, how are we? And this is not only our problem, it's a global problem. Now, right now, our country has taxed it at 30%. The Honourable RBI Governor, and not just the present Governor, several governors have constantly said that this kind of digital money or transaction, as you called it, right now, it's really, I'm confused because it's not legal is what the government says, but at the same time, it's taxing it, 30% tax. So I mean, there's too much confusion. So does an investor invest in it? Because tomorrow the government will say, "Arey, ye to karna hi nahi tha." And if they are bringing in this into crypto, so it could be an attack here, but somebody could be paying in some other country. So how are we going to seize? How are we going to freeze? How are we going to attach the funds? So this is completely a grey area, which I think we must deliberate. And it's not only about us, it's about a global issue that we need to raise. Sir, another thing that happened was, which obviously was not something which was actually a little embarrassing for us, and I respect the Honourable Defence Minister, was very, very gracious when about the BrahMos experiment, I would call it. It was a mistake that happened. It was a misfire. I know nobody did it intentionally, but the Honourable Defence Minister was very, very kind enough to come and showed such humility of the Defence Minister to come and say that we will take corrective action and have inquiry, but it was not intended at all. But the Philippines has objected is what comes in the newspaper. I'm quoting all the data that has come with. I have no access to any information. I'm going by what media says. So if the Philippines has shown concern, now these kind of situations happen, then how are we going to control it? So I think let's make it a little more academic also. Yes, we support this bill completely in one voice in this entire House, but we must definitely be very, very careful about the new technology coming in, and all we are just raising our concerns, even if these are just to make sure it's a flawless bill and make sure that India is known for what it's really, which is about truth, and it's about being a partner to everybody, which is absolutely no warfare and a peace-loving nation like the Mahatma would have wanted. Thank you.
Thank you.